Good morning, everyone. So a minute before we begin. So welcome to today's training. So there's some things I'm trying to verify first before we start. Okay, now I can resume. So it's another part for DHSA VSS certification training. I'll introduce myself. My name is Shelton Kipkoech. I'm from the Technical Support Department at Dawa Technology. For those of us who have been following us, last week I told you that I'll introduce some technical persons that we have. So our team is growing, and in the future, whereas from now, the technical support from our side will improve. So the experience from the technical in terms of project, in terms of after sale, in terms of application for a project from your side, you get full support from our side. Also in terms of repairs. I'll introduce for you the technical team, and I'll send the contacts. It's on your screens. So you can check on your screens. So those are the contacts for new technical guys. There's another one which will add more. So in case of anything, you can either contact me, you can contact Zephania or Brian. They'll help you in terms of technical issues, technical problems that you might encounter while interacting with our products. Okay, now on the focus of what we are supposed to be doing. So we've been doing a training on DHSA VSS certification, and for those of us who have been following, or for those of us who have been with us since we began, we realized that we have covered the technical basic. We are in this product introduction, so we are at slide number 7. So we are almost halfway, and we will be doing 2 sessions. Like for the example, now we are having the first session from 11 to 11:30. Then from 11:45 we'll have another session. So we have 2 sessions per day for every Fridays and Saturdays. So the reason why we are doing two sessions and not one as before is to cover more ground on theory part. We realize we have a lot of theory on our side to cover. So you can see if you can zoom from your phones, you can zoom from Explorer. So you can see the files that you need to do. Last week we did thermal cameras and we did network video recorder. So we covered the cases like NVR, we covered IVSS, and we did EVS. Oh, sorry, I not covered the EVS yet. So the EVS was the one that will be coming to this session. So I'll finish with EVS. And then after finishing with the EVS, I will now dive into the HDCVA products information. So we'll do HDCVA recorder. So in case of any question, inquiries, you can get in the chat section. If you cannot hear me, or maybe you're facing some challenges, also you can reach out to the chat section. What you can do also, you can raise your hand. Okay, I think that's for the meeting purposes, you can just do the chat section. Maybe someone will reply, and I'll reply on the same. Last week we covered network video recorders. We covered about the AI and VRs, what their features are. So I'm going to talk about the EVS in this section. So EVS in full is embedded video storage. It's a storage system that we use at Dahua. So the EVS is a storage system that we use at Dahua, which if you can see from the picture, if you zoom for the EVS, it has slots for hard disk. So this one is an EVS. So I'm going to talk about it for this section. Then we go to HDCVI. So generally, the reason why you would need an EVS in your network is for the cases where you need to do recording. Sometimes you have clients telling you that they want to do 6 months recording once they have quite large number of channels in the system. That is the cameras. So the EVS comes in handy at this point. Or maybe there is high security regions like in airports, ports section, and you need to have recordings for other purposes that a client wants. So the EVS comes in handy at this point. Of course, you might use an NVR or IVSS, but the support for storage for EVS is quite large compared to NVR. So for the capacity for EVS, you can see the capacity is quite large compared to an NVR. And also in terms of processing while doing storage or doing forwarding of information, an EVS is quite fast in terms of video processing and signal processing. So the advantages are in terms of scalability. You can expand your storage based on what your needs. Also, it has a multi-core processor. Apart from that, you can do the same way you'll do a connection of camera to NVR. You can do connect EVS to camera. So basically, you can have an EVS and the cameras in your network and just leave it like that, without necessarily doing an NVR for the purposes of storage. So for the case when you are doing basic surveillance for the purposes of general storage or maybe recording on motion, when you only have EVS and cameras in your system. You can have third-party cameras. You can have Vision, UniView, and even Dahua cameras. So connect them to the EVS and leave it work like that. Apart from that, there's high security with doing EVS. So the EVS, you can do configuration of RAID. You remember, for those of us maybe who have been with us since we began the training on DHSA, we talked about RAID in a recorder information. So EVS supports RAID. So you have the option of either configuring RAID or not, but it supports RAID up to say RAID J, which is a proprietary RAID in Dahua. So the most RAID that we use in EVS is RAID 5. I talked about this information, why RAID 5 is used in terms of security and maybe disk utilization. So RAID 5 was the most common, the best RAID to use. So the storage capacity for EVS is so we have support up to 1024 Mbps bandwidth, up to 48 HDDs. So you can collect 48 HDDs of support of 1 TB to 16 TB. So you can do the calculation of 16 times 48 HDD, then you can know what storage size there is. Also have higher storage disk than 48 number. So for that case, then you need to contact us to do custom on such scenarios. But typically for 16 times 48 HDDs would be quite large for recording of even up to 6 months or even a year on motion, depending on the traffic on your site. EVS application. So how do you use EVS in your network? So below is a topology in how you'd implement an EVS in your system. So avoiding this section for this section here for viewing. This is the video wall. So the EVS is connected in a switch network. So either you can access it using the EVS web. So you access the web interface for the EVS, just like the way you'll access the web interface for IPC. So this is for the case when you are doing configuration for the EVS, adding cameras, recording, setting up recording time, etc. Then you would have DSS Pro for the purposes of doing a live views on the camera and maybe doing playbacks. So the DSS Pro on this side would, under the EVS web interface on this side, will provide with you the UI interface for you to interact with the EVS. I hope that is clear. So apart from adding cameras, you can add the NVR directly to EVS. Another advantage for EVS you would do is the configuration for adding cameras is one option. Another option is you configure the EVS to do a storage access network, so IPSAN, IP storage access network. For the cases maybe where you have your company need to do a storage site. So the EVS is not only limited to surveillance, but you can use the EVS to do the general storage in your network, because some models, okay, I think all models of EVS support iSCSI and third-party protocol that can be implemented to create that storage space in the network. So the EVS is not only limited to recording. So you can have EVS for other purposes like Microsoft Storage Network, etc., iSCSI configuration, and etc. So, and the configuration for the EVS is very easy. So in case of anything, you can ask question in the chat section. After this session, we are having another session from 11:45. So this is the first session, then you do theory from the other part. So you'll just click the link and join. So the direct storage mode for EVS, you would just use the cameras directly to EVS. You add them the way you add cameras to NVR. So in traditional way, you do iSCSI configuration first. So the camera would first go through iSCSI, then to the storage. But at this case, you just add the cameras directly to your EVS. So the highlights, supports RAID, this is just basic functionalities. So you can also do distribution with EVS. So like you have one EVS and others to avoid cases like fault tolerance and high security case areas. Apart from that, you can do storage extension. So you can do expansion for the storage. If that the one maybe model you purchased is the limited is the storage is limited and you need to do extra storage with low cost, you can provide modules for expansion. So in terms of modular design with the highlights for EVS, you get redundant fan. So redundant fan cooling system is very good. Cases like support of hot swap, where you can just unplug a hard disk and return it while it maintains the proper system functionalities. Controllers for standby, etc. So these are just like the design is good to suit the applicability in your site. So apart from we have AI functions also in EVS. So you can do metadata. For those of us who have been with us since we began, we talked about what is metadata. So metadata are those little details in an object. So a person is an object, a vehicle is an object. So a person as an object can have characteristics like if it was a man, it can have beard, goggles, the cases for hat, and also maybe someone had a mask on. So those are metadata information. So EVS supports metadata, and you can do search on information based on such cases. So they say this one is a hat. So maybe someone can verify if this is a hat and this is a bag. So just a typo in the system. In terms of doing redundancy and sort standby, so there's the same way I talked about distribution in EVS. You can see in this case you're having configuration where you'd have two or more EVS to create that system stability and reliability. So support for this. I'm not going to talk about RAID 5. You just do reference on the videos that we did before. In case if you have issues, just check the videos that are available online on YouTube, and the link is on the groups. So I'll not talk about RAID 5 because we talked about it before. So the models for the EVS that you can check, they're listed below. So the lowest version of EVS that we have is EVS 5. Then the highest or high end into enterprise case scenarios, you'd use EVS 7. So you can say okay, maintenance. As I talked before, EVS is easy to configure. The UI is quite user friendly. So if you are going to add cameras and doing configuration with the EVS, it's very easy because the UI is friendly. So the EVS family that we have as per this documentation. So for updates, you can check on our website, but maybe this might be a little bit back. So we have EVS 5 series and 7 series, and also we have 71. So as per this document, so this information maybe you'll check at your own time in terms of number of channels the EVS supports, the bandwidth it supports. So there are factors like forwarding and recording bandwidth that you need to put into consideration while designing the network. So in terms of hard disk, so you can see for EVS 50 series, you have an option of using 48 HDD up to 16 TB for each HDD. So all of them are up to 16. If I'm not wrong, there is a EVS which has higher storage bay than 48. So for NVR, I'm not. We talked also about the NVR in our last session. Okay. So if you need to do a reference on any video here, you can check them online. They are available, and I think I explained to the ability that you will understand and get easily. So we're going to take a break in the next five minutes. Then we do a resumption at 11:45. So from 11:45, we're going to cover HDCV products, recorders. So we're going to do XVR, HCVR, DVR, etc. So you can have a break for a break. We're going to have a break. Then we'll resume at 11:45. So in case of any question, you can do it in the next session. So for now, I'll just end this session. Then you'll click the link that I sent. Then we resume at 11:45.